We're ready. We're going. Hugo Belloy. Hugo or Hugo? That's what people call you.
Actually, I mean, in France it's Hugo.
Hugo. Okay.
You know, but I think my heart is Italian, so Hugo sounds quite normal to me.
Okay. I mean, in Spanish it's Hugo as well. So,
Yeah.
but I know you as I don't know, Hugo. Anyway, my dear friend Hugo Belloy, I am super happy to see you because I'm a great fan since a very long time. And I don't know. I'm sure you don't know because we cross paths many times. We've seen each other's faces
Yeah.
since at least since 2020. But we never got the chance to actually sit down and talk. And of course, you are a public persona among pretty much the whole expat and not only and local community in Hong Kong. We have a lot of friends in common, I believe. And you actually created the circumstances for me to meet with some of my close friends today. I remember it was so funny because the 13th of March 2020, it was Filippo Caracciolo's birthday. Shout out to Filippo Caracciolo that he's having too much fun back in Zurich.
Yeah, cheers to that guy if he watches this.
I'll send him the link. So he did his birthday. He was his 30th birthday. And then we went like 28, 29 of us to surprise to the Studio 9. Then there I also met Andrea Linander. I'll also say hello Andrea. She watches the podcast and we actually partied together in Ibiza as well after the fact. So yeah, since there we all grew and became more adults. And being Spanish, I don't want to be chauvinistic, but probably Spanish people, we have a very intense party culture. I think that's let's say no one can challenge that. But when I was in that party, I discovered a different feeling. I don't want to say better, worse, but it was just different. It was the level of surprise and pun not intended that I felt there was nice. And then the times in which I observed things that you were doing, I always saw that special touch. So today I wanted to learn a little bit more about the person behind the persona. Okay, where do you come from? Because we never had the time to have a chat, and today is actually one of the few times we record a podcast on a Friday afternoon because this is the last meeting of the week and it's meant to have that theme. But sometimes we record on a Monday morning and we need to pretend.
I see.
So Hugo, welcome. Who are you,
you,
Hugo? Who is Hugo Belloy? Hey.
Wow, when you spoke about all these elements, I already had so many things I wanted to share about and comment on. So anyway, who is Hugo Belloy? It's a funny question because I think every year you realize more who you are. So I think I'm currently in a constant quest of keeping on searching and driving for my own identity, authenticity, I would say. Basically, the elevator pitch, I'm French, born in Paris, grew up in a private Catholic environment, but since the age of 10, my whole attention has been put onto creating moments for others.
Age of 10?
Yeah. So since the age of 10 or 11, like when I was started college, I started to basically think of doing things for others and putting at the heart of, every moment I was creating for others to make it special and make it interesting for people that I usually liked or care about or that was given the responsibility of. And then basically, so I grew up in Paris and I started to organize through my young years in college private parties with some friends. And we started to basically organize, it all started in Stromboli actually by having an idea of seeing how a bartender, his name was Luca, was able to make a mojito and seeing how this mojito was so good, so much alcohol, because in Italy, you guys, they pour a lot, and then one mojito had so much alcohol, the taste was so good, and then everybody after one mojito would be completely, fuck it up a little bit, and basically seeing how powerful this was on the island, I was like, we were like 15, 16, starting to organize parties at friends, and I was with a friend and was like, why don't we organize the mojitos, the beverages for people, instead of like everybody's bringing their stuff, their own drinks, And so we were like, okay, €5 per person, and we started to organize this for 20 people, then 50 people. Then we started to oversee the light, the sound, and then we ended up actually running a small event company, organizing private events, private parties for friends or people that wanted to celebrate their birthday in private apartments in Paris, until the age of 16 or 17. And then, so that was called HTNL Événementiel. Cheers to all my buddies. We were 3 at the end of the 4 in total organizing this. Anyway, that wrapped the story of Paris, and then I went to study in École Hôtelière in Lausanne, in Switzerland. So, my passion for hospitality brought me there. And there, again, I started to oversee all the events and all the parties of the school, basically. So I was like, I saw there was committees, organizing different events. It's a hospitality school, so it was heavily... there was a lot of like committees organizing activities for people, but the heart of it was always hospitality into I would say a pretty luxurious environment. It's an expensive school, so the committees had high budgets to be able to do parties and events. And basically, I spearheaded a committee called the Fête Finale, which is the big party committee of the school. And so I ended up organizing, with a team of 100 people, like the end of gala of the year, and then parties every week, and then special events here and there. And then on the last year, I also organized the grad trip and multiple events, and every time what was really making me, was really putting my heart was like, how can you make this special? How can you tell something? What emotions you want people to feel? And then the creation was starting, and then I was convincing people that it would be a great idea. And then I've been, I think, always good at like getting people behind the ideas and making my idea a collective dream.
Yep.
And then there was Switzerland. And then after that, I think my dad started this, like, I remembered when I was a kid that my dad used to go to Asia.
Yeah.
So I was finishing school. I was really involved in the moment. I was like, okay, what am I doing now? I went to travel with a close friend, Stéphane, basically to Asia for 6 months. I loved Hong Kong. He reminded me New York, mix of East and West. And then I arrived in Hong Kong 8 years and a half ago, worked for Black Sheep Restaurants.
Okay.
Worked for Black Sheep Restaurants. I started as a captain on the floor, as I was basically serving pizza in Motorino, Wan Chai.
Really?
Yeah.
I used to go to that pizza many times.
Yeah. So serving pizza there, then serving pizza in Soho. Then I was managing Chum Chum. Then I became the operation manager of Belon. And then I started to look after all the music identities of the group for the restaurants. And then this party creation came forward again, and I was like, I offered to the owner of the company, hey, why don't we organize a festive brunches? Why don't we organize a special event? And then they trusted me to sort of run these ideas. And then I started to create some festive brunch, the Lavash Disco brunch, the Fiasco in Carbon, this immersive brunch with dancers and stuff. And then after 3 years with them, it just became a too small environment for me to grow. And I think I was searching for that identity, searching for that sort of like definition of self. And I decided to, venture out and try something on my own, And I started this company, Dreams and Dreams, and it's been 5 years. 5 years or 6 years now. 6 years that I've been organizing events, and including your project, surprise.
Nice. Before we get to Dreams and Dreams, I didn't know that you had a hand on it, but I had noticed that music playlists in Black Sheep group have a different level. Was there something that was general before, or do you reckon that you changed the vibe? For example, they're an integral part of the experience. If you go to New Punjab Club, which is one of my favorite restaurants in Hong Kong, if it wasn't because the playlist is so good, the experience would be totally different.
Yeah.
But then you're there and you see this guy singing with a very guttural voice, and you go to the toilet, and the sound is actually very well designed in the toilet, to be honest. And now that I close my eyes, I can see that in the chain is more or less the same.
Yeah, I mean, look, Black Sheep, the soul of Black Sheep was driven by, Chris and Asim. So I would give most of the credit to them. And I think they've managed to find people, to surround themselves with people that could help them to build that vision. Before I came already, music was quite important within the group. I think we get to a point where, Asim, who was looking after the music identities, was just busy. And I basically helped to develop this and increment it. And music is, in the world of restaurants and in hospitality in general, I think we completely, people think it's just for the vibe, but it actually defines so much more. It also defines at the pace at which people eat. It defines the mood of the staff. If you provide the team something that they can sing along, or they can clap their hands on, or they can swing when they go to the bathroom, it's like, it helps, it generates like something special. So actually, it's funny we speak about this, because actually I used to see music as an important element, but not as the core of what I'm doing. And I think with time, I'm more and more realizing that music is actually the center. It's almost the departing point of a lot of the stuff that I do. And I think it's the highest form of hospitality.
Yes, actually, I have that phrase written here because I wanted to get back to that, because I think that defines the next steps that you want to do. But I want to let's say unwrap a few things before we get to that point. 5-6 years ago, you get to Dreams and Dreams, and then you launch the brand that probably, let's say, put you out there to the public. You can correct me at any point.
Go ahead.
All of the facts that I'm saying are my own perception. But Hugo, surprise, is like a binomy that everyone knows in the city. What was the inspiration behind, and how easy or difficult was it for you to obviously put a lot of personal ingredient in it? Because when you see the how do you call them, the principles of the surprise, that I was checking them out again today, the radical inclusion, and especially the door policy, which I like, but I don't know why I like, but I want to know the motive. Why, if you go out after the party starts, you cannot go back in?
Okay, so I mean, there's a few elements, right? I think first of all, everything I've always done, every quality, the reason why I think the success of a project, I think, or my project at least, I think comes from a very pure intention and very pure wish to just create something that's special, and that's gonna touch people, that's really the essence, and that's the reason why I'm doing. It's almost it's almost like the reason of my being. It's like I love to make things, moments, or even people feel special through some creations, right? Surprise, there was never the ambition to create what we have today. The ambition at the beginning was just, I was like, hey, I want to play in Salon 10. If you look at the Instagram, the first post, that's where the content will be useful. You check the first post.
Yes.
It's like just a surprise. I made a logo with Helvetica Neue on Pinterest.
Which, by the way, let me cut you. I think it was a very nice choice.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm a nerd for type, and I think that people and I at the beginning I thought Helvetica was something vulgar, but then one day you realize that Helvetica is the Bible.
It's the Bible.
Yeah.
It's the simplicity, the purity, but it's still elegant. It's timeless.
Swiss perfection.
It stays. Swiss. Yeah, exactly. And you look at this first picture. It's like you just have a texture of a sort of pink latex, which is bubbling. Mm-hmm. And then if you look at the pictures that are being posted on Instagram afterwards, it's just people basically taking bubble gum and blowing a bubble gum in a club, and we just took a picture as black and white, and we just highlighted the bubble gum in pink, and so we were just giving this pink stuff to people. And then it was all about, okay, we're going to do cool music, cool people, and then there's going to be one thing special. And you never know what it is, and this changes all the time.
Hai capito.
Right?
Yes.
So, and then this, and surprise, surprise. So it's almost like you never know what to expect, but something funky, something cheeky, something is going to create actually the talking point between people. It's going to break the ice. It's going to create that thing, you know. And then we run a few events there. Cheers to Alaya, who offered us the space. And then we run a few events, and then we are like, okay, now we want to do something bigger. I had two friends who were part of the project back then, Hugo and Mahika, and we basically were like, okay, let's do something a bit bigger with 120 people. And then why, in order to amplify that notion of, okay, something is special, why don't we ask people to dress up, you know? And then we came up with that first story, which was Midas, you know, the gold, the king that transformed everything he touched into gold. But we created our own interpretation of what Midas was, you know, which is today's who is creating gold around himself in today's society. It's about being an interesting person. It's about providing to your circle. It's about, adding something. So we created that narrative, and then we asked people, come into your golden characters of your choice, and then all the rules that you see today were just, the inspiration behind the brand Surprise is you have three elements coming together. You have the notion of Cirque du Soleil, the notion of performing art, the notion of AWE, of like amazement, of poesy, of performing art. And the human notion at the center of it, right? It's very human. It's centered into feelings. When you go to a theater, the feeling you have when you see people on stage performing is different than the cinema, which can be touching as well. But anyway, so you have this. You have the power of a brand, of a party that I think Circo Loco represents very well in today's world. This edginess, this definition, this push to be into a brand. And then the last element was some principle that I discovered at Burning Man, which are basically, there's 10 principles behind Burning Man, and one of them is radical inclusion, which stands by the fact that as soon as you put a foot into the desert, you are responsible from your environment's experience, which makes sense. If you dress up properly, you're gonna have a good time into the party. Yeah. It's we're all interconnected somehow. So it was creating these three things inside the project, basically.
It is, David, have you been to any surprise party? There was the one that I was mentioning before. I don't know if for that party that was the detail that you wanted to create, but I remember that at a certain point it was the Freak Party at Studio 9, which is probably the best place to make a party. Yeah. I know you have done bigger venues, but for me that's the best place. Hands
Cheers
down.
to Alaya.
Cheers
again.
to Alaya. So I remember at a certain point I was dancing, having fun, and then suddenly people that were dancing with me, they were actually performers, and at a certain point they started making a performance, and you realize, I remember vividly right now because those memories stay, that how the energy level of the room went vroom. And it was something that I think everyone noticed. It was beautiful. I get very emotional. I cry in movies, and I cry when I remember things. Yeah.
It was interesting because that night the performers were supposed to be. It was Freak Factory.
Yeah, Freak
right?
Factory. Sorry,
so
Freak Factory.
Every guest had to show up within the freak that they are themselves and feel free to be able to.
Yeah.
And then we had those performers that were freaks in themselves, which started as normal people, and then as the night would unfold, they were transforming into their freak. And basically, the performance that you're referring to was the moments where actually they were, they're the freaks were getting out of their shell, which
I think you managed, yes.
If you say so.
Mission accomplished. You took the surprise to several more iterations. Productions always getting bigger. How do you foresee that brand developing in the future? Where is Surprise now?
I think Surprise got to a point where, everything that, and since almost the beginning, everything we earn falls back into the production. I think we we started it as a passion project, and it's still being run a little bit as a passion project. I think. I think it's very. I speak on my behalf because Alexi is my partner on the project. We're currently exploring, see how Surprise will evolve. But it was run as a passion project. It evolved as a passion project, and it's still the way we design one experience. And then it has still been defined as a passion project. I think we are really, I'm getting to a point where I'm exploring on how the brand can evolve and become more commercially viable. Just because it's everything is new, everything is different, everything is unique. Location changes most of the time, production changes, performance changes, everything changes. So it's like it takes a lot of time in development. But we're exploring now to either create one story that could travel and then be touching different markets. You were mentioning Elro before. So it's like the same story that could tour around in different places. I think that's how we wish to be to develop it. Or the other option is just to keep it as a one-off project, but then we need to find stronger partner to be able to support the viability on the project.
I see.
Yeah. When
I look at you, I see one part that obviously you enjoy, and another part that you need to be. I see an artist and an entrepreneur at the same time. Yeah. Who do you identify better with?
1,000,000% artist.
Okay.
Which, again, coming back to that notion of identity, right? I never wanted to start my company alone. I wanted to partner with someone. The partnership fell out because we were like 26, and we basically didn't align ourselves with my ex-partner, who's today a singer, very successful. But anyway, and I think I'm at the point where I'm also, I've been doing entrepreneur and the artist side at the same time. I think every strong artist has an entrepreneurial spirit. But I think I'm at the moment where I want to be able to focus more onto the artistic side and actually surround myself with more people that can help on the business development, the management of the client for all the private project that I'm doing. But I think it was important for me to go through these years of like grinding, and making it on your own, to really realize that actually what makes me, where my spark comes alive is when you ask me, hey, I have this room, I have these people coming, how can I make something? And my brain weaves something extremely quickly, and then connects dots between different artistic elements and then create a narrative and a story and a way to integrate them into something that touches emotions. Then when it comes to, okay, how do we from that brand make money and it's a more challenging element. And I would not say that I think it's a dream to ask as a creative, okay, someone is going to come and help me make the money. It's like you have to figure out as you grow and as you develop yourself, but you need to surround yourself with people that can help you to do it. And I think I'm at the moment where I'm hiring currently. So I think this podcast can help to spread the word.
What are you hiring for?
I'm hiring for a project coordinator / manager.
Okay.
That could also oversee some of the communication behind the project.
So there you go. Apply, but this is serious shit. So please don't, let's say, come say, perdi tempo, like they say in Italy.
Don't waste time.
Don't waste time. Yes. No, I think it's very important to surround yourself with people. But one of the entrepreneurial part of any project requires, unfortunately, an initial phase of doing things a little bit lonely.
Exactly.
And my own experience is that hardship at the beginning, that probably is unlike anything you experienced before. I'm talking about myself now. Is key for you to discover who you really are. I believe that if I don't think I would know who I am if I hadn't gone through through a certain number of things. And I'm not an artist. I do other type of stuff. I imagine that discovery of identity is super important for an artist, because you struggle as a way of making it. You discover who you are, and then that's an asset. I had this morning sitting in your chair, Elsa Jean de Dieu. And we had a super lovely conversation. And she's let's say born an artist, and she's also an entrepreneur because she had to make it in Hong Kong, which is a very difficult city, expensive city, that if you don't produce, kicks you out. And she also was telling me, I discovered who I was, and now I enjoy myself because now I can be Elsa Jean de Dieu and not who other people tell me to be. And I say this about Elsa. David's about to be wife is Riya Chandramani. Shout out to Riya, one of my favorite artists in Hong Kong. And when talking to both of them, they always mention how cool it was to go through the initial stages of doing things because you have to. In the case of plastic artists, commission work and all of that, and now being able to express yourself. And that's something that I guess you can relate to.
I think, yeah. I mean, look, yeah, and I think Hong Kong sometimes doesn't make you. It's about also taking the time to, I think I've been so busy in the past 2-3 years. Like my work really picked up, and I was, I started as I was providing services, DJ services to hotels. I was like, when I started, I was not doing at all creative direction. I was actually becoming a service provider, and even, last year I had like some great project, the after party for Louis Vuitton, the Tatler Ball, which is coming back this year, by the way.
Okay.
I'm doing again this year.
Both of them?
I mean, Louis Vuitton is not coming
Louis
back
Vuitton
to
is
Hong
not
Kong.
coming back. I thought I was getting a scoop.
It would be nice, dude.
It would be nice.
No, but Tatler Ball I'm doing again. And I think it's more with time, because my work is, I guess like any artist, but my work is you create something for others, right?
Yep.
So I was speaking about this with my therapist actually yesterday. It's really a conversation, and it's about understanding and working with people that actually are the same level as you and don't treat you as a service provider, which often in the city, it's like, we need creative ideas, and then give you creative ideas, and then you think that you can take this idea and create something powerful with just the idea without understanding how elements fall into place and how they integrate with each other within the concept. So I think it's really about, as you walk on that path, being able to work with people that are going to let you do what you do, respect you what you do, and then enable you to really flesh out the power of a concept or of an event. For me, a party is an art, and I say, no, it's an art because it's my stuff. I say it's an art because often people misunderstand and misrealize the potential that exists behind a party. I give you some words because I think it's interesting. First of all, in a party, you have no rules. You can meet whoever you want. You can talk whoever you want. You have openness and barriers, except on very VIP stuff. But even in that setting, you can catch people. It's like, and then you see people that are in states which are maybe not normal, but at least they let go, they let loose. So you're able to connect with them on different frequencies in different environments. There is no limits, right? So it's like you can really connect with themselves, without maybe with a mask or like a certain setting. And then the second thing is that within the world of a party, you can, for me, a great party is a place where you grow. You grow in connections. We just spoke about it. You grow in terms of content that you are exposed to, because any party has a part of content in which you are soaked with music, performing art, decoration. So it's like it's showing you some elements. Why the parties in the underground world in Berlin is so exciting. Like the quality of the light design work that exists into these places is just creating beauty and magic around yourself. So it's like, I remember the notion of like the Cirque du Soleil, the AWE. Why is it powerful? right? Why O is important? It's important because it helps people in front of something beautiful to lower their ego. So when you go with your friend and you climb a mountain, you arrive on top of a mountain and you like, boom, you see this beautiful big mountain, right? And let's say you're with a group of people. Suddenly you'll be like, man, have you seen how beautiful this is?
Yes.
Because you're in front of something which is big, which is impressive, and suddenly your sense of big self diminish in front of something which is beautiful and impactful, and you want to share about it and you want to speak about it. So if you do a party that is really good, people will connect. And
Yes.
ultimately, what I like to do is to create human connections through the creation of very specific moments.
That's an amazing angle. That's an amazing point of view. I never thought about it like this.
Yeah. But there is a soul behind this, right?
Yeah.
So the issue when you work with people that don't understand, respect, or try to, or maybe that you don't communicate well enough what you're doing with them, then you end up just giving the idea, and then they think that they can create the beauty that you do into your events by just taking some element of the idea, but without weaving it together in a certain way that enables this power or this beauty to happen together,
Yeah.
right? So, this is, but that's why what I'm saying, a party is an art, is there's so many small layers that create that sense of comfort to observe and to appreciate a beautiful work of vibe and connections and performances, So there is, yeah.
Yeah, no. I never thought about it that way. When I was living in China in 2012, I had a group of friends. We called ourselves very very cheesy urban art ideas, and we organized the first party called Take Off Your Mask. And we just it was something very simple, a very low production. It was the venue was an Irish pub that two stories that we converted into a club for one night, and we gave each other white masks, so everyone had the same mask. But then, of course, obviously, the motto was "take it off." But it was just for us. It was just okay. We have a prompt, and then we use it to create the theme. But what you mentioned is totally right. When you go to some clubs in which people can show their egos, then maybe you have some friction, you have some fights, but it is true that when you go to a party, for example, let's not talk about maybe this place, because it seems like I am saying, Hugo, you are the best. But let's also talk about a different example, Wonderfruit, and which that is not the perfect festival, but it's a very nice timing of the year, temperature normally, and dynamic. You don't see a lot of egos normally running around. Everyone is kind of at the same level, and that's the beauty of it.
Yeah. But even in the worlds of VIPs and stuff, I think it's just about how do you brush the atmosphere and what direction you want to give, how do you position them. Pasha in Ibiza is a good example. You're going there soon. I haven't been this year, so I don't know if they changed a bit the layout because they changed the ownership, but when you party in Pasha and you like with your beer and you spend 60 euros to enter, and then you can spend only 20 euros, you're 18 years old, and you're like, it's the party of the summer. You party in front of DJ booths, you don't see the VIP so much. You're on the dance floor and you're with your friends. The VIP section is actually very big in Pasha, but it's all behind the DJ booth.
It's behind the DJ, yeah.
And you can't see it, so you don't create that sort of opposition or that sense of like, in Amnesia, you have this balcony and you're like, so as soon as you're a raver, you look up and you see these people looking at you. You feel like
yeah, there are two different
either
words,
you
yes.
feel small or you like fuck them, the switch people, whatever. You create a sense of levels. You create a sense of like better. And it's like, how can you when you fly first class or when you fly economy, you're not next to each other, and you don't see each other. You're almost only when you walk out of the plane, the company makes sure that you walk through the business in the first, so you see what you can get, but you don't have the opposition, or you have less the opposition with the people throughout the whole experience.
Yeah.
You're not like first class economy is riding and looking at each other and like who's riding the best, So it's about, whenever you design an experience, how do you make everyone at every level feel comfortable?
Yes.
And if you feel comfortable, you can appreciate the content. And then if you appreciate it, you can focus on the content. You're less distracted from the right and left, right? So the comfort enables you to focus, and you focus, you can appreciate. And the quality of the content, the edge of the content, the way it's integrated enables you to be in that state of and then to connect more with the people around you, with your friends or with new people.
That's interesting. In your creative process, how important is for you to do field work, to go to other people's parties? Do you spend time doing that? Do you have time and energy to do that, or you prefer your creativity to start from a blank sheet and draw from what you can imagine?
I mean, first of all, you do your work, and your competition it's here to do other things. And I think there is so many things to take from everyone. You know, like everybody's inspiring from each other. But I think like when it comes to what do I create, usually it comes from anything. It can start from an emotion that I'm like, this is so good. The feeling of this fabric is so good. How can this feeling become the feeling that we're going to give to everyone? And that being the anchor word to define what the night will be about, you know? So it's like, for me, inspiration, it's like it comes from anything. It can be a music, and I feel this music, and I'm like, for example, I was reading something about a book. I'm reading a book about meditation about beauty, right? Mm-hmm. And I was in Garbage, which is an amazing. You have to do this. You like Wonder Food, but Garbage is like
in Poland.
Yeah, it's must.
It's
do,
nice.
Must do. It's another. I think it's another level. But anyway, it's a more mature product, I think. But it's also because of the crowd and stuff.
Yeah, it's like an hour and a half from Berlin, isn't it?
Yeah. But it's a must do. It's the deepness, the purity of it is really special. But anyway, so my point was like, I'm reading this book about beauty. I was realizing that a lot of the music in Berlin is actually, or at least the one I've listened to, is quite nostalgic. You have this feeling that it's a bit nostalgic. It's almost like it makes you feel the time has gone. The time is passing by, but it's still beautiful. Yeah. And but for some reason it's beautiful, it's nostalgic, but it's also, you feel it a bit raw, and it's touching you deeply. More than, for example, music in Ibiza is often more upper. It's like, it's very positive. It's like, it takes you up, and it's like sun, it's like celebration. It's like, it's up. Berlin is also up, but I feel like it's deeper. And I was like, but why do you feel it? Why do you feel it deeper? Is it the pace? Is it the beat, etc.? But then that feeling of nostalgia is what I remember. And then when reading this book about this meditation about beauty, he was saying that nostalgia is a very important feeling, because as it makes you feel that the time has gone, it reminds you that you will not live forever. So because you have this feeling of the time has gone, it's almost like it reminds you that you will die one day.
Yes, memento mori, yes.
So it's like this feeling of nostalgia is very powerful, because it's taking you from your whole body, because I think you connect it to the fact that we are mortal.
Yeah.
I don't know how we can
I share with you one thing that it's sometimes when people know this about me, very few people know, they get a little bit creeped out. So I have a countdown in my phone, like on the screen. I have a countdown. I said, okay, an ambition time to die, an ambition but not over ambition would be maybe my 70th birthday. So I say, okay, imagine that I die on the 29th of June 2057. And I say, okay, and I found a way to put a countdown. So I have on my phone every day how many days I have left, which is a little bit under 12,000 days, which actually, they're not that many. Yeah, think about it that way. And people might think that this is something crazy, but I take
good reminder,
I take it in a different way. For me, it's like, I just need to go hard every day. Like, enjoy life. If I like someone, I tell him. If I want to give a kiss, I give a kiss. If I want to just stay fucking silent, I stay fucking silent. But this is something that I think is very important, because it all came about when the idea was very clear to me when a lady that was married to one of the guys that tattooed me the most passed away at 31st, and I felt like shit because I knew her. But then, and on the day after, I found out, I realized, tomorrow I am probably not gonna, I had that rush of, I need to live, I need to, call people I love and just in highlight the positive of life. And at the same time, I had that realization: tomorrow I'm never gonna feel this intensity because brain tends to forget. So I've been making an effort to actually remember that things finish, and that is
It's very good, right?
that's the biggest energy that pushes me forward. So I understand what you mean by the nostalgia. And in fact, in Berlin, people party super hard, which is like, if you are so pessimistic because the city is a little bit gloomy, the buildings are old, you have the communist past all there.
No,
But there, the celebration is amazing.
You party like there is no tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's like you're so into the moment, you forget yourself into that thing, which has obviously his dark sides as well. But it was just an observation on to how you create, why nostalgia is actually important.
Yeah.
Why. But I think it's there's a fine line between making it sad, and nostalgia is not sad.
Yeah.
It's flirting with sadness.
Yes.
But it's still, you have still that beat that takes you forward. But I think it's the thing, it's beautiful. It's this feeling of nostalgia is really beautiful. Yeah.
No, it's nice. Before, when I was asking about the future of Surprise, you hinted about something, and we had a conversation over the phone before the podcast recording, and you mentioned about a project that cannot be unveiled, so we will not name or do any details. But can you do some teaser for the people that follow you, and so they feel a little bit of itch in their belly? What are you preparing that people don't know?
Surprise is gonna keep growing somehow, somewhere. It's just a moment where I'm looking for people to grow, and it will find its way, because surprise has such a there's so much life into this project that I would not see it stopping or moving on. So, but I think it grew as a one thing every time. So and also it's like, because of the demand that the project has, creatively speaking, the effort that it requires from everyone, and the currently low return on investment that we get, beside of the brand, the brand, the eventual personal branding that I could take from it. There was a wish for me to create something that enables to develop something else that's very important, which is the notion of community, which is actually to reconnecting and ensuring that you can build that sense of belonging and connections through a certain set of values, through a different type of experience. And I mean, I would love to share the name, because it's for me, it's everything.
No, keep it.
No, I keep it. But the word is what defines everything. Usually in my concept, it's like the I spend so much time to pick the words, because the words really defines how your brain starts.
Yep.
It's usually actually in a party. It's interesting to know, but in a party, what matters is like the words is what makes people think. It's just it's the piece of meat that you give to the dog, so that, not saying that humans or guests are dogs, but it's the piece that your brain needs to chew to be able to hang itself to something, right? But then during the party, the story doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah.
Because it's about feelings. It's about sensations. So whatever happens, usually all my creations are like, you have a story so people can put themselves into the context. Once you're into it, look, like, Sleep No More? Sleep No More, the show by Punch Drunk Theater in New York, where everybody is masked. You enter in this three stories building, and you're supposed to, and it's an immersive theater.
Okay, yes.
Right, so no one understands the story. You just, come to this hotel, blah, 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 you have a story, Then there is a guy, it's like, start to text you. Some people have gone 3 or 4 times to try to understand the story. But it doesn't matter.
Yes.
Because one matter is that you're like with your mask in a super cool, super well-made ambient thing. You're like freaking out. You're freaking out. You're into this environment, and then suddenly you have scenes. You take in right, left, and you observe this world. And yeah. Space Mountain. Okay, it's the space and the mountain, but do you remember what's the story when you're on the ride? No, you just arrive in the mountain, you go, and then you go through space, but then it's all the details doesn't matter. So it's really the first names are super key for anything, but then after that, it's sensations.
Yes. But they predispose people to feel a certain way.
Exactly. No, but
Yes,
you
it's
no,
like you
exactly.
write the first chapter, and then people write the next chapters maybe.
The story, no, but the story, yeah, exactly. It's people's interpretation. It's
Yeah.
leaving space for them to make their own story, create their own feelings. And the story helps the narrative, but you don't need to comprehend every single chapter. You need to feel
Yes.
the emotions that are on top of this. And this is why I focus on is the emotions that we make people feel at XYZ moments. Going back to the topic, sorry.
No. This
Um,
the podcast is made in this format precisely to derail as many
Yeah.
times as we want.
Good.
Especially I enjoy when you have someone in front of you with such passion that can go into detail, because for me, let's say I had a perception of what you do, and now I have a different one that is more complicated, more complex, more interesting for sure. And I think the key element is your passion. And one of the things that I'm curious about is how do you keep that passion in an activity that is not even physically easy, because it requires working at night. Let's say entertainment industry or hospitality, for what it's worth, it requires a lot of sacrifice. How do you keep the freshness within this industry?
Again, I would not say that today I'm at the moment where I feel I'm the freshest in the way I'm doing it, because I'm building that team. By the way, I'm hiring. I see it again. But I think it's really when there is something interesting.
Yes.
Like my whole body goes for it. It's like it's almost like it really takes me in a bubble, where sometimes I have to, for example, if I have, like, let's say I have this, if I start to speak about the project, I get to the project afterwards. But if I start to think and imagine what the project is, in my brain we're starting to think about that, I'm like, I could go for hours to create and imagine and define and imagine all the sensations that this thing would create and how it could be and all the angles. And I think in light, in colors, in movement, in moments, in details, and I can paint the picture of the party in my head. I can feel completely the different elements. So how do you maintain a freshness? It's just being, I'm just so curious. And new space creates an idea. Everything can create a notion of a like excites my brain, and then my brain starts to weave the elements to create something. So I think on the long term, though, I always told to my parents, I don't want to become an event agency. I don't want. And I'm still not considering myself as an event agency. I create events and experiences with like-minded people, but I see more the studio that I'm building as a studio that creates identities that ultimately could become brands of experiences. So whenever I imagine a project, it has the sort of the underlying potential to become the first step of a story.
Yep.
Right? And not as in, oh, this is a production for that client, and now next client. Like I because it's so ephemeral. It's so actually it's quite sad, to be like, okay, we create something for one-off, and then all this work, all this effort, we know that the day after it's over. It's useless. Like it's. But that falls down to the real drive that I have ultimately, and why surprise is important. Why the second project is important is because it's about building, a continuity of elements and a continuous feeling of creating and feeding and developing out of these ephemeral moments a piece that sustains time. Surprise, surprise is amazing. Surprise is amazing. We talk about the brand at the end of the day, but then it's a brand that exists thanks to 7 editions of one-off moments, of memories of people.
Yes.
But
that is the highest form of art. When you do something that is ephemeral, that is going to disappear, and nevertheless you put your soul into it, I think that there is nothing that can match it. You can interpret as I'm gonna say something that I don't want to advertise or for or against. I have my private opinion, but I want to keep this podcast white and pure. But people that love bullfighting, they say the defense of bullfighting is this is a form of art that it's ephemeral, that you see it live, it disappears, and then exists only in a fraction of a second, and risking everything for that moment is what gives importance. If it wasn't because of that, that's why one of the craziest, more dogmatic bullfighters of the present time, he just does 1 or 2 per year. He doesn't allow TV to be in the arena, because he says if you bring it here, then it's not ephemeral. Then the meaning disappears. Then the importance disappears. So I get what you mean. It's I never expected to find someone that pushed me to think is in such a philosophical way about this type of things. No. So I'm super happy.
But that's why also when you work with, you need to, if you work with people, projects, clients, you need to work with people that are sensible to this profoundness of elements, because otherwise it's just, you feel like you're working for work, and then it's like but I think that's more the artistic journey, it's you do stuff for bigger reasons than just the production or the of course you focus on the moments, but it has a bigger meaning, but anyway, falling back to this project, it's like it's basically it's creating a traveling living room that would embody some of the values that I consider Hong Kong being the home for, that could provide a luxury, like, I don't like the word luxury, a high level comfortable high level underground experience that blends the East and the West.
Okay.
And it would be basically a living room. It would take the shape of events at the beginning, maybe one day physical space, but it would be based in Hong Kong 6 to 8 months during the year, and then you would have probably a home in Europe, maybe a home somewhere else in Asia in different months, and you would basically take with it a set of values, a set of setting up the room, and celebrates the exchange between the East and the West, and representing the values that I think Hong Kong has that people have no idea, that are above, like that are not living in Hong Kong. They see the current situation, the issues, and whatever we see on the news. But we have the chance to be in a space where people are so open-minded here. It's safe. Everybody is hungry to meet people, but genuinely, because it's not, you're not like in I lived in New York for 6 months. Yeah, I'm open to you, but I'm not really open to you. It's like, but in Hong Kong, I think people are genuinely interested. Of course, if you have something to bring to the table, and if they feel like something, let's go, let's do it. So I think people are genuinely open, safe. It's super efficient. It's comfortable. You feel good. You feel safe. And I want to create that notion among this living room that has this notion of underground that I think for me is where the soul is. My soul is into the underground, but the level of comfort that enables you to really appreciate things and to feel good and to and where you want to be, and so I think the name is very cheeky, so I'll keep it for later.
Do you have a timetable so people?
Yes, I want to launch the first edition actually in November.
This November?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I have the name, I have a location, but I'm still working on numbers.
Can you push it to the end of November? Because I'm having a kid mid-November, so let's say it would be very inconvenient if you just did it on that day.
It would be either November or maybe December, but I want it to be this year, because the key behind these things is you gotta start the first one, and then you figure out as you walk. It's never perfect, so...
No, it's fair for you, but I think people will enjoy anyway. Hugo, I love the conversation. It was nice. I'm very thankful that you came.
To
I
you,
hope
man.
I
It's
hope you
so
enjoyed reflecting a little bit on what you do. I'm sure that you will find someone around behind that camera that will send you an email trying to apply for that role that you described before. And all the best of luck.
Yeah, and I'll just add this. I'm always super open to meet any creative talents from any fields that's interested by the project somehow, somewhere, because the world of collaboration is just super wide and open, and there is so many projects that are flying where, so it's like I have my own needs for my company, but I think meeting people that are doing cool stuff and exploring doing stuff with them is just the stuff I write on, because it's the foundations of the work, basically. So yeah, shout out to any creative out there. Let's do stuff.
Bravi. No, it's a beautiful message. You are super upbeat, very realistic, and you give meaning to what you do. So it's you embody a philosophy that if everyone copied you a little bit, the world will be a better place. So all the best, my friend.
I take it. Thanks
for today's Friday, so everyone should start enjoying their weekend. Be happy. We love you very much for staying until now, and even if you just listen to 1 minute, I'm very thankful anyway. Until the next time, thank you, Hugo. Thank you,
Thanks,
David.
man, Fernando.
Much love. Ciao.
Thank you.
All right. How was that?
Good.
You liked it?
I didn't know you were going straight into it. I was like, oh, go. Very good. Oh, very good. Yeah, very nice, man.